My name is Megan Foster. I'm 30 years old, and I've spent my whole adult life working hard and saving for my future. After years of strict discipline, I saved $150,000. Every single dollar earned through my own effort, saved carefully with a dream of a secure tomorrow. I believed my sacrifices would finally bring me safety and freedom. But one Sunday evening during a family dinner, that belief was destroyed. My brother suddenly revealed that he owed $100,000 in gambling debts and demanded that I give him my savings and co-sign a mortgage to help him. "It's for family, Megan," he said, his voice full of entitlement, as if my hard work meant nothing. I refused. My future was not his to take. But my parents turned on me instantly. "You're letting us down," my dad shouted, his face red with anger. My mom's tone was cold, her eyes sharp. "Think about what this means for all of us." The air grew heavy, and their words cut deep like knives of guilt. My heart pounded, but I stood firm and walked out, their accusations echoing in my mind. 30 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a message from Mom: "Sign the mortgage papers for him or don't come back." Her words hurt deeply, but I didn't give in. By midnight, my hands shaking, I locked every shared account they could access. By morning, my phone showed 21 missed calls and angry texts, full of blame and rage. What happened next pushed me to my limits, forcing me to make a choice that would change my life forever. Before I go on, tell me, if you were in my place, would you sacrifice your future to help family, or stand firm to protect yourself? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. I truly want to hear your view. I grew up in a suburb of Charlotte, and to our neighbors, we looked like a perfect family. My dad, a sales manager, spent his days closing deals for an insurance company, always wearing crisp shirts. My mom, an accountant, worked downtown, surrounded by spreadsheets. My brother, Brandon, 3 years older, was their pride, the one they always favored. To others, we looked like the ideal middle-class family: 2 kids, a tidy home, and a minivan in the driveway. But underneath, things were unbalanced, and I felt it early on. As a young girl, I threw myself into school. Numbers were my comfort, something I could trust. In 5th grade, I won a regional math award and was so excited to show my parents. I imagined their faces lighting up with pride. But that same day, Brandon had a basketball game, and they went to cheer for him instead. "We'll look at it later," Mom said over the phone, her voice distracted. Later never came. The certificate sat on the kitchen counter for weeks. It wasn't the first time. Brandon's games, his school plays, even his average grades always mattered more. Their voices grew louder for him, their smiles brighter when he entered the room. By middle school, I stopped trying to earn their approval. I focused on what I could control: my grades and my goals. I'd spend evenings in my room solving math problems or reading about money, dreaming of a life where my choices mattered. Their attention to Brandon didn't hurt as much once I created my own path. At school events, I'd wander through the booths alone, surrounded by families laughing together. Neighbors often praised how close our family seemed, unaware of the emptiness I felt inside. Those sunny community picnics, with kids racing around and parents chatting over lemonade, only hid the truth. As a teenager, I decided to take charge. I got a part-time job at a local bookstore, stacking shelves and helping customers after school. The work was tiring: dusty books, heavy boxes, but it gave me freedom. My first paycheck was just $80, but it felt huge. I opened a savings account at the nearby bank and deposited every dollar I could. "You're so dependable," my manager told me, and those words meant more than any compliment from my parents. I'd ride my bike home through Charlotte's quiet streets, feeling proud. That job showed me I could build something on my own. Meanwhile, Brandon drifted through life. He charmed teachers with his easy smile, doing the bare minimum. Mom and Dad never cared about his missing homework or late nights. "He's just figuring things out," Dad would say whenever he broke curfew. I'd hear them at dinner planning to pay for his next whim: new shoes, a camp, a trip, while my own achievements, like getting top marks, barely earned a nod. I didn't blame Brandon completely. He was a product of their favoritism. But I knew I couldn't depend on them to see my value. Those years in Charlotte shaped me in ways my parents never noticed. The school fairs, the quiet bookstore, the late nights studying, they were mine. I learned to measure my worth by my own effort, not their attention. My parents saw just a quiet daughter, but I was building a strong foundation they wouldn't understand until it was too late. By high school, I had learned to rely only on myself. The lessons from my childhood, standing alone, being independent, pushed me to chase a future I could control. I aimed for college not just as a way out, but as a way to build something lasting. My grades were strong, and my determination stronger. I studied late into the night, driven to earn my escape. My hard work paid off when I received a full academic scholarship to UNC Charlotte, a chance to study finance without any debt. Starting college felt like stepping into a brand new world. The campus buzzed with energy, and I jumped in completely. I chose finance because I loved its logic and order, the same things that had comforted me since childhood. Classes about investing and budgeting felt like learning a language I had always wanted to understand. But scholarships didn't pay for everything. Textbooks, meal plans, and dorm fees quickly added up. I refused to ask for help, so I got a part-time job at the university's finance office. It wasn't fancy, just filing papers and updating spreadsheets, but it covered my expenses. I worked afternoons and studied until midnight, keeping the same focus for both. My co-workers, mostly graduate students, noticed my determination. "You're relentless," one joked as I triple-checked a ledger. That job taught me more than any textbook. Every dollar I earned was mine to manage. After 4 years, I graduated with honors, debt-free, and a finance degree in hand. I didn't stop to celebrate. I was already thinking about what came next. Charlotte's growing financial industry was the perfect place to start. I got a job as a junior financial analyst at a mid-sized firm downtown, working on corporate budgets. The work was tough, but I enjoyed it. My first paycheck, a little over $2,000, felt like a huge milestone. I opened a high-yield savings account and began building my future one deposit at a time. My life followed a steady rhythm of discipline. I tracked every expense in a spreadsheet, from coffee to rent. I avoided unnecessary spending. No fancy dinners, no impulse buys. My apartment was small, just a one-bedroom in a quiet complex, but it was enough. I cooked meals in bulk on Sundays, freezing portions to save both time and money. Every month, I saved part of my salary, watching my savings grow. By my mid-20s, I had saved $50,000, a number that felt unreal. I began small investments in index funds and low-risk bonds, learning the market through trial and error. A senior analyst at work became my mentor, teaching me how to read market trends. "Patience pays off," she said, showing me how to spread my investments wisely. I followed her advice and kept my portfolio simple. Avoiding debt became my rule. I saw coworkers take out car loans or max out credit cards, but I stayed away. I bought a used car outright, saving thousands. My colleagues teased me at lunch, calling me the budget queen. I laughed, but I didn't mind. Every careful choice, every skipped coffee or delayed purchase, brought me closer to my goal. By my late 20s, my savings reached $150,000. It wasn't just money, it was my freedom, my security, and proof that I had built a life on my own. Work wasn't only about earning. I truly enjoyed it. I loved analyzing data, solving problems, and creating plans for clients. I'd spend hours perfecting reports, checking every number. My boss noticed my precision and gave me bigger projects. I took evening classes to earn extra certifications and improve my skills. Outside of work, I read finance blogs and listened to podcasts to keep learning. My life was simple but focused. Work, save, invest, repeat. I wasn't after wealth for show. I wanted stability no one could take from me. Looking back, Those years were all about proving I could stand alone. Every late night at the office, every dollar saved, every lesson learned was a step toward a future I could control. I didn't realize then how soon that foundation would be tested, but I was ready. One Sunday evening, I arrived at my parents' house for our usual family dinner. The scene was familiar. Mom's roasted chicken, Dad's stories from work, the sound of plates clinking. I sat in my usual spot, expecting the same small talk. But something felt different that night. The air was heavy, like something was about to happen. Brandon sat across from me, his usual grin gone, his fingers tapping nervously on the table. Mom and Dad exchanged tense glances. I sensed trouble before anyone said a word. Halfway through dinner, Brandon leaned forward, speaking in a low, urgent tone. "I need your help," he said, eyes locked on me. "I owe $100,000 from some bad bets. I need your savings to pay it off, and you have to co-sign a mortgage for me." His words hit me hard. My $150,000 in savings, built through years of sacrifice, flashed through my mind. I gripped my fork to steady myself. "No," I said firmly. "That money is for my future. I can't." Brandon's face darkened, his jaw tightening. "This is serious," he pressed. "It's my last chance to fix this." Dad spoke sharply. "You're part of this family. We help each other." Mom nodded, her voice soft but demanding. "Family comes first. You have the means to save him." My stomach twisted. I had spent years building my security, avoiding debt, and tracking every dollar. Giving it to Brandon, who had always been reckless, felt like throwing it all away. "I worked too hard for that money," I said steadily, even as my heart pounded. "I won't risk my future for his mistakes." The table fell silent, the air thick with tension. Brandon slammed his hand on the table, rattling his plate. "You're selfish," he snapped. "You think you're better than us, don't you?" Mom's eyes widened as she reached for his arm, but he pulled away. Dad leaned forward, face red. "You're letting your brother drown," he said, his voice low and accusing. I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping the floor. "I'm not responsible for his debts," I said firmly. "He made those choices, not me." Mom's voice cut through, cold and final. "If you won't help, you're choosing yourself over family." Her words hurt deeply, but I didn't back down. I stood, my hand shaking. "I'm choosing my future," I said, meeting her eyes. The room felt suffocating, their stares heavy with judgment. I grabbed my coat and headed for the door. Brandon's bitter voice followed me. "You'll regret this." I didn't look back. As I drove home, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mom. "Sign the papers or don't come back." My heart sank, but not from doubt. Her message felt like betrayal, a clear line drawn between us. I had spent years building my independence, and now they wanted to destroy it because of Brandon's careless choices. When I reached my apartment, my thoughts were racing but steady. No one was going to touch my savings. I had worked too hard and given up too much. Their words about family duty echoed in my head, but they couldn't change my mind. Sitting on my couch, I replayed everything. Brandon's desperate tone, Dad's anger, Mom's cold text. They thought guilt would break me, but I wasn't that teenager anymore who needed their approval. I was a woman who built her life dollar by dollar, choice by choice. Their demand wasn't about love, it was about control. The pain of their betrayal was sharp, but beneath it, I felt strength. I was done giving in to their expectations. My money, my future, they were mine to protect, and I wouldn't let anyone take them away. The next morning, my phone was full of 21 missed calls and messages. I woke to the screen lighting up again and again. Dad's voicemail came first, his voice tight with anger. "You're being selfish," he said. "Your brother needs you, and you're turning your back on us." I deleted it, my chest tight, but more messages kept coming. Mom's texts were endless, each one heavier than the last. Family sacrifices for each other, one said. You're breaking us apart, said another. I stared at the words, the guilt pressing on me like a weight. I had expected some backlash after the dinner, but this was a storm. Then, something even worse happened. An email from my bank appeared. It showed multiple failed login attempts on an old shared account I hadn't used in years. My heart started pounding. That account had once connected me to Brandon for family expenses. I logged in, hands shaking, and saw the timestamps, late last night, just hours after I'd left their house. Brandon, I thought, my jaw tightening. He had always been careless, but this was too far. I changed the password, turned on two-factor authentication, and locked every account I owned. My savings, my future, they were mine alone, and no one was going near them. Feeling suffocated, I called my best friend, Tara, and we met at a small cafe downtown. The place was quiet, and the smell of coffee helped calm me as I told her everything. Tara listened, her eyes steady and kind, her hand resting on mine. You've worked too hard to let them take this from you, she said softly. Your savings are your safety net, not their solution. Her words were like air after drowning, cutting through my guilt. She didn't offer fixes or judgments, she just stayed with me, reminding me that I wasn't alone. You're stronger than they think, she said, squeezing my hand. I nodded, grateful, feeling a small spark of strength return. Later that day, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from my cousin Monica. Brandon's been in debt before, she wrote. He drained Aunt Linda's savings and borrowed from Uncle Mark. They never told you because they didn't want to upset you. My stomach turned. So this wasn't new. His gambling had been a problem for years, one my parents had been covering up. Monica continued, they've bailed him out twice already. Don't let them guilt you into this. Her words hit hard, exposing what I hadn't wanted to admit. My family wasn't just asking for help, they were expecting me to fix a mess they'd allowed to grow. The calls and messages didn't stop. Dad left another voicemail, colder this time. You're tearing this family apart, he said, echoing Mom's earlier words. Mom sent another text, think about what you're doing to us. Their words piled up, each one like a blow to my resolve. I felt trapped, torn between their expectations and my need to protect myself. I had spent years working for my freedom, from my first job at the bookstore to my position as a financial analyst. If I gave in now, everything I'd built would fall apart. But the pressure was intense, their voices were constant, echoing in my mind. Sitting alone in my apartment, I looked at my laptop, my accounts now secure under new passwords. I thought about Tara's advice, Monica's warning, and the life I had built piece by piece. Charlotte, my hometown, suddenly felt small and suffocating, like a cage closing around me. For the first time, I let myself imagine leaving, starting somewhere new where my choices were my own. The thought scared me, but it also gave me hope. I wasn't ready to decide yet, but the idea of a new beginning took root. I had worked too hard to let them drag me back into their chaos. Whatever came next, I would face it my way. By Wednesday, the pressure from my family had become unbearable. My phone buzzed constantly, but this time it wasn't just calls or texts. Brandon had gone public, posting a long rant on social media accusing me of abandoning my family. She's got the money but won't help her own brother, he wrote, filled with resentment. The post spread quickly, shared by distant relatives and old neighbors. Comments poured in. People I hadn't spoken to in years called me selfish, cold, heartless. How could you let your family suffer? One person wrote. My stomach twisted as I read their words, the weight of their judgment crushing me. I didn't respond. Fighting back would only make things worse. That afternoon, a loud knock echoed through my apartment. I opened the door, and there stood Mom and Dad, their faces hard and tired. We need to talk, Dad said, stepping past me without waiting for permission. Mom followed, her eyes red and swollen, clutching a folder of papers. They sat on my couch, the air between us heavy with tension. You need to sign this mortgage for Brandon's debt, Dad said firmly, pushing the papers toward me. It's the only way to save him. Mom's voice shook as she added, we're family. We stay together no matter what. I looked at the papers, my heart beating fast. My savings, all my hard work, flashed in my mind. I can't do this, I said, pushing the folder back. I won't risk my future. Dad's face turned red. You're ungrateful, he shouted, his voice rising. We raised you, gave you everything, and now you turn your back on us. Mom reached for my hand, her voice soft. Please, for the sake of our family, don't tear us apart. Her words hurt, but I pulled my hand away. This isn't about family, I said calmly. It's about Brandon's mistakes, not mine. The room went quiet, their anger and pain hanging heavy. Dad stood, pointing at me. You'll regret this, he said before leaving. Mom followed him, her shoulders low. I sat alone, the silence loud around me. Then my phone buzzed with an email that changed everything. It was from my coworker James, who had moved to a financial firm in Austin. We're hiring senior analysts, he wrote. Higher pay, moving help, and a fresh start. You'd be perfect. I read it twice, hope lighting inside me. Austin, a place far from Charlotte's pressure, far from my family's demands. The salary was almost double what I earned, with a bonus for moving. I leaned back, letting it sink in. It felt like a lifeline, a way to finally be free. That night, my phone rang. It was Brandon. I hesitated, then picked up. You're betraying us, he yelled, his voice full of anger. You think you're better than us? Running away with your money while I'm drowning? His words stung, but I'd heard them before. I'm not your solution, Brandon, I said firmly. You caused this. Fix it yourself. He cursed, his voice shaking, but I hung up, my hands steady. I was done being their target. By morning, I'd made my choice. I replied to James, accepting the Austin job. It wasn't easy. Leaving Charlotte meant leaving everything I knew, my apartment, my habits, but it also meant freedom. A life where my savings and future were truly mine. I started looking for apartments in Austin, imagining the new skyline, the new life. My family's words, ungrateful, selfish, still echoed, but they no longer controlled me. I'd built my life on my own terms, and I was ready to take the next step, no matter what they thought. 2 weeks later, I stepped off the plane in Austin. The warm air felt different, lighter than Charlotte's heavy memories. I'd packed light, leaving behind old guilt and ties. My new job with James at a modern financial firm downtown was waiting, and I was ready. The office was bright and busy, glass walls, open desks, a team studying market trends. I started as a senior analyst, working hard to improve client portfolios. My first project, fixing a tech startup's budget, earned praise from James. You're a natural, he said, patting my shoulder. I felt proud, my confidence growing with every task. Outside of work, Austin felt alive. I met Kelly, a coworker, at a team hangout. Her quick laugh made her easy to like. She invited me to a food truck festival by Lady Bird Lake, where lights hung above the crowd. We ate tacos and laughed, the music and smell of food making me feel at peace. This city has energy, Kelly said, smiling. I joined her at local events, art walks, concerts, feeling a sense of belonging I hadn't felt in years. Austin's lively streets and charm began to heal me. Still, the past lingered. I started therapy with Dr. Margaret Cole, a calm, kind woman whose office looked over the river. In our sessions, I talked about the guilt and control my family used. They made you feel responsible for their choices, Dr. Cole said gently. You're allowed to choose yourself. Her words opened my eyes. Brandon's debts and my parents' pressure weren't love, they were control. Each session helped me let go of the guilt I'd carried for years. I began to forgive myself for leaving, for protecting my peace. One evening, Tara called from Charlotte. "How's Austin treating you?" she asked happily. We talked about my new job, my small apartment, and Kelly's love for food trucks. "You sound happy," Tara laughed. It was an easy call. No advice, no pressure, just friendship. Her voice reminded me of home, but it didn't pull me back. I was building something new, and she understood that. Then a message came from Monica. This one serious. "Brandon's gambling has gotten worse," she wrote. "Your parents remortgaged their house to pay his debts, but now they're struggling." My heart sank, not from guilt, but from sadness. My parents had chosen this again, enabling him, sinking deeper. Monica added, "They're barely keeping up with bills." I read it slowly, the truth settling in. Their choices were theirs now. I typed a short reply, "Thanks for letting me know," and put my phone down. Austin was truly becoming my home. I spent weekends hiking the trails at Zilker Park, the city skyline shining in the distance. At work, I started taking on bigger projects, helping junior analysts and leading client meetings. Dr. Cole's sessions gave me the tools to understand my past and focus on my present. Kelly convinced me to join a salsa dancing class where we messed up steps and laughed until our sides hurt. These moments, with friends and laughter, helped me build a life that truly felt mine. I wasn't running away from Charlotte. I was creating something better, something I'd earned. 6 months into my Austin life, I stood on my balcony looking over the city. The skyline sparkled under the night sky, reminding me how far I had come. Cutting ties with my family wasn't easy, but it had to be done. Their demands, Brandon's debts, and my parents' pressure had once kept me trapped in guilt. Now in Austin, I felt free. My days were full of purpose. My career was going well. My friendships were growing, and I was living a life that matched my values. The weight of their expectations no longer controlled me. For the first time, I felt truly content. Then a text from Monica brought news from home. "Brandon's in serious trouble," she wrote. "Creditors are suing him for unpaid debts. Your parents missed payments on their mortgage, and the bank is threatening to take their house." The words hurt, but not from guilt. I had warned them before and refused to support their bad choices. Dad and Mom had chosen to save Brandon again, and now they were facing the results. Monica ended her message with, "I'm sorry it's come to this." I replied, "They made their choices." My heart hurt for their struggle, but I couldn't take their burden anymore. I found new purpose volunteering at a local community center, teaching personal finance to teenagers. Every Saturday, I stood before a group of high school students, sharing lessons on budgeting, saving, and avoiding debt. Their eager questions, how to save for college, how to avoid money traps, lit a spark inside me. I saw my younger self in them, trying to figure out a world that didn't always teach you how to stand strong. Helping them felt healing, like giving them the tools I had learned the hard way. One student, a quiet girl named Sarah, thanked me after class. "I want to be in control like you," she said. Her words stayed with me, reminding me that my story could help others. Looking back, I realized that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Protecting my savings and my future was the hardest choice I ever made, but it was the right one. True family doesn't ask you to give up your worth. They support you and respect your limits. My parents and Brandon wanted me to fix their mistakes, but I chose myself, and that choice built a life I'm proud of. Austin taught me that I could grow without their approval, that my value isn't tied to their needs. Thank you for staying with my story. Your support means so much. It's not easy to share these moments, but knowing you're listening makes it worth it. If you've faced family pressure, share your experiences in the comments. Inspire others to find their strength. Like and subscribe to join me on this journey. Let's keep learning, growing, and choosing ourselves.